Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I am your host, Anna Rising, and on this podcast, we go over soul contracts. I am a soul contract reader using the Soul Matrix modality, and in soul contracts, we can find the spiritual agreements we made before incarnating into this incarnation and how they influence our lives. And today, we are going to be looking into a few of the cast members from Wicked, the movie that just came out recently. And we're going to be looking at what kind of programs they have, what kind of past lives they have, to get a sense of how that's playing out in their lifetime. But before I do that, I wanted to try to do something a little bit different this episode. I wanted to give you guys a very general, quick reading of your energy and give you some spiritual messages that you might need at the time of hearing this recording. So I pulled some cards for you guys, and the first card that popped out is one of a very unfocused energy. This is a type of person that doesn't have a lot of direction right now. They're very wavering in the wind, like they kind of go with the flow. They're not set on one path at this point. They're very easily influenced. I'm thinking of a person that has an idea for some sort of business, and maybe they got excited about it and they told their significant other, or they told a friend, and that friend or significant other immediately started like pinpointing the reasons this might not succeed, this might not be a good idea. And the person immediately dropped it. They're like, yeah, never mind. Like, I'm not even going to entertain this. I'm not going to pursue this or think about this more. Now, in regards to this idea or this venture that you guys may have come up with, there's huge potential there. There's potential for it to become ultra successful. So whatever it is that you're not feeling too sure of, you're not wanting to commit to, you're kind of feeling wishy-washy about, you need to really focus yourself and realign with what it is that you want to do. You are something of an entrepreneur. You are a creative visionary. And you have this ability to see what other people can't. You're very intuitive and you're able to pick up on things that other people can't see. So there's this invitation from the universe to share what it is that you are picking up on with the rest of the world. You have to step into your identity and your authenticity just a little bit more, because there's so much potential there for you, and you are really being called to being unapologetically yourself. So if this idea that you have seems a little far-fetched or seems like something that you wouldn't normally pursue or nobody would normally pursue, there's a reason you're having it, and it kind of wants to be put out into the universe through you. And this is going to take some teamwork. This is going to take you really stepping into this calling that you have and really planting your feet and being sure of it, like choosing this direction and being like, okay, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to give it everything I have. And then starting to build a team of people that can help you realize this goal, because it's not going to work if you're just trying to do it all yourself. If you take all of this burden on yourself, there are people out there that want to help you, that would love to help you. So don't start thinking, oh, like, I don't want to waste other people's time asking about this, or I don't want to be a drain or a burden by like having someone walk me through this. No, you have to drop all of that, because the majority of the time, when the universe is asking something of you, when the universe is asking you to put something out there, to create something, it will send you the people that will help make that happen. So you're going to see a lot of like synchronicities, a lot of opportunities just opening up to you at the exact right time, introducing, like you could be introduced to somebody at the exact right time in order for this to come about, in order for this vision of yours to come into reality. And I pulled the Isis card from the Goddesses, Gods, and Guardians Oracle deck. And strangely enough, this card is about sacred contracts. I kid you not. So this is asking you to rise into your power and purpose. It's asking you to heal your mother wound, and it's saying that right now is a time to develop and share your soul's gifts. There is a message out there. There is probably something traumatic that you've went through that you feel would help other people if you shared it. Something on your heart. It's been placed there, and the universe is asking for you to bring that about. The universe is asking you to share that because people need to hear it. People need to be aware of it. And some people may be struggling with what you struggled with and healed from. And in you sharing this and sharing how you healed, you're giving them hope. You're giving them a sense of, okay, this isn't the end all be all. There is hope outside of this. And that is very much what I was trying to do with the narcissist episode that we did a last episode. I absolutely dreaded talking about it because it is so heavy and because I'm still very much not healed from it. And you don't have to be either. You don't have to be completely healed from whatever it is that you went through. Just the fact that you tell others that they're not alone in having gone through this is already so healing. So this card talks about spiritual agreements that reside in your subconscious, which is exactly what soul contracts are. They're subconscious programs, they're subconscious agreements that your soul has made when it was trying to incarnate into this lifetime in an effort to bring about a more healed version of yourself. So if you commit to sharing this trauma that you went through and how you healed from it and your process of healing from it, your journey of healing, you're going to inspire others. So whatever it is that you dream of being, of doing, of creating, really hunker down on that image and especially now, like especially the month before the new year, create a vision board for yourself and get a good idea of what it is that you want to manifest in this new year. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. There's a lot of creativity that's just bubbling through the surface that needs to be put out there, and you are being called to do it. So let me know if that resonates, if that lands for you, if it's similar to what's been on your heart for a while. We are going to get into the soul contracts from the cast of Wicked. Now we're going to be looking into Ariana Grande's chart, Cynthia Erivo's chart, Idina Menzel's, Kristen Chenoweth, Jeff Goldblum, and Jonathan Bailey's soul contract. This might be a little ambitious of me, but that's a lot of soul contracts to go through. I'm going to try to go through them very quickly and give you a general idea of the energy in them and how you might see these programs playing out in their lives. So Ariana Grande was born June 26th, 1993. And her past life is a past life I see pop up very, very often. It is one of kind of unfinished purpose. She didn't get a chance to really fulfill her purpose, fulfill what she needed to share with the world. And this seems to be kind of like the underlying theme for this episode, that there's something every soul needs to share with their community or with their circle of friends, with their circle of relatives or family in some shape or form. This is going to be like a long-standing joke, how often I say some shape or form. But there was something that she was passionate about. There was some kind of work that she was passionate about that she didn't get a chance to really put out there and share with people. So there's this strategy of alienation that's going on with her, where she pushes people away, even though she's absolutely terrified of being alone. She probably has a fear of abandonment and she hates being on her own, so she tries to surround herself with people all the time. She's very much likely an introvert at heart, but she has this fear of loneliness that causes her to surround herself with others. Some of the programs she has in her chart aren't the best. I'll start with the best. There's the Millionaire program. So there's this blessing that she has from a previous life, of a blessing of abundance. It essentially means that at some point in her life, she's going to come into a large amount of money, either through inheritance, through her career, or through luck. So there's this like almost definite prediction of success for her. But then we have some programs that feel a little bit more sticky, stagnant energy, like the binge program, which means that this person has a hard time doing things in moderation. And that is often coupled with the burnout program. The burnout program talks about a person that gets really excited and really passionate about something, And when they do, they get almost this endless supply of energy. Like they can keep going. This is like somebody that can work like 18 hours straight through the day without like realizing that they didn't eat anything all day because they were so excited about this project that they forgot to eat. So this is somebody that will get excited about something and then burn themselves out very quickly and often kind of drop the project or drop the thing that they were excited about because they burned themselves out and they didn't pace themselves and they were like all in. They got excited about it. They're like, I'm going to go all in on this. And then they don't reserve the energy to actually follow through. One of the programs I feel called to mention is the Best/Worst program, because that is one of the programs that manifests pretty extremely. Some other celebrities that have this program are Blake Lively, Emma Roberts, Jeffrey Epstein, and Charlie Sheen. So this is somebody that has a very wide circle of friends that can probably copy them and look up to them. They are very, very dedicated workers, very dedicated like actresses, actors. But then there's this shadow side they have to them that is very, very discreet, very covert. That is not always noticeable unless you get a chance to really be one-on-one with this person and have them kind of let their guard down. And this negative side to them has like this very deep-rooted disdain for the world. I'm thinking it's like the opposite of somebody who loves people and loves to be around people and is this like bubbly, like very light person. It's the opposite of that. She also has the special mission program. And I feel like celebrities that have this special mission is because they have this certain air about them, this certain like quality that's very distinctive, very unique. It's like somebody that has a very particular sense of style or like a very unique image. The downside of this program that they might get a little bit full of themselves. They might let all of this influence and all of this stardom go to their heads. So it's something that's very tricky, but it's essentially highlighting the soul's uniqueness, this program. So I feel like Ariana Grande's chart is a little bit, I want to say hot and cold, because there's both positives and negatives. It's clear that she did something right in her past life in order to earn the kind of blessings that she sees in this life through the Millionaire program, right? Because the Millionaire program is only given to those that have deserved it in a previous life, like earned it. But then there are these shadow sides that are pretty severe. And I feel like we saw some of this happen in the public eye when everybody got really upset at Ariana Grande for licking donuts in a donut shop or something. Like she was, I don't know, she was really young. She was doing teenager things and probably just being stupid with friends, but it all happened in the public eye. So we can reference that kind of, because I think her reputation took a hit after that. I feel like I heard a lot of bad things coming out about her for a while. A lot of people were really upset. So yes, nothing too drastic or dramatic. Definitely some red flags. But I feel like with all of the promotion surrounding Wicked and all of the interviews she's done, she either does a really excellent job at putting on an act of this very like grateful, emotional person, or maybe she has done some inner healing work, inner child work that, funnily enough, the movie kind of touches on. The movie touches on inner child healing a lot. And I haven't seen the first Wicked with Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, so I was going in completely blind seeing this movie. But I really like the underlying themes of the movie. I like the message. And I wonder if Ariana Grande identified with it so much because of her own personal story. Maybe there was some introspection that happened and she chose to start operating from the positive. Cynthia Erivo's chart is a little bit hectic. This feels like somebody that purposefully took on a lot of programs, a lot of karma to go through in one lifetime so they don't have to repeat as much the next. There was a lot of limiting beliefs in her chart that she has to clear, a lot of programming that is really about the mental state and really about learning about worthiness and enoughness, which is on par with her character. But I'll start with her past life, which is essentially it's like the witch past life. I've nicknamed it the witch past life because I've it feels like the energy it feels like the energy of somebody that was falsely accused or burned at the stake for practicing witchcraft when they were like a midwife or doing herbology or doing something that was entirely different from what other people were doing at the time, and society doesn't have a good rapport with people that do different things, with people that are way showers and kind of create their own path. So I feel like there is this witch wound here, which is which makes her the perfect person to play Elphaba. But the vibe that I was picking up for her from her past life wasn't that of a witch per se. It was just of this person that had a very, very important job, this kind of important work that she needed to do, and she was not able to finish it, either because somebody like stopped her from it, they wanted her to stop practicing what it was that she was practicing, or like something else traumatic happened that kind of destroyed her life's work. So in this life, we see this wound pop up by her trying to conceal her gifts, her trying to conceal her knowledge, because there's this fear that once people find out what she's doing, once people find out her talents, they're going to try and destroy it in some way. And I feel like Cynthia is a very naturally intuitive person because her chart says that she pays attention to dreams and signs a lot. I feel like if she hasn't already started exploring that in her life, she's going to. So yes, so there's this concealing of her knowledge and concealing of her skills that she kind of has to work through in this lifetime, and we can see that it's being done. Like, she is using her voice very literally and showing off her skills and not being afraid to take the limelight, stand in the spotlight. This is giving very healed energy, and I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the programs that we find in her chart are cleared. And I don't mean cleared in the sense that they're not there anymore. I mean cleared in the sense that they're operating from the positive instead of operating from the negative. So the reason that I'm assuming that it's operating from the positive is because the first program that pops up for her is the High Spiritual Unification Mission. So this is somebody that is dedicated to uniting people, dedicated to bringing people together. She is not somebody that wants to divide others. She is not somebody that wants to separate people into, oh, they're the others, they're different. She's all about including people, being inclusive, and that is a very high vibrational mindset and mission. I would bet that Cynthia was an intuitive in a past lifetime. Maybe she was kind of like the medicine woman for the town, or someone that just didn't buy the traditional like medicinal approach or the traditional spiritual approach. And because of her past life experience where she now feels like she has to hide this, she has to keep this knowledge inside herself and she can't share it because she doesn't feel safe to share it. She has the program Fear of Accepting Magic Power. So this is somebody that's afraid of showing their intuitive side. This is somebody that's afraid of standing out from the crowd too much, because in their experience, you stand out from the crowd, like your head's above everybody else's, like you're the first to get chopped down, right? There's also the fear of disappointment. I feel like Cynthia can really, really channel that inner child pain that Elphaba experienced in the movie. She really understands it because she's been disappointed. She's experienced that heartbreak of the kid, of not being accepted, of not being enough. And we can see that through how her life played out. I took a look at her biography, and she was raised by a single mother. Her parents divorced when she was fairly young, I think, and she kind of cut off ties with her dad. They no longer communicate. So I'm wondering if that's where the disappointment was coming from, where she was kind of betrayed by somebody that was supposed to be there for her, that was supposed to unconditionally love her and provide for her, like her father. So I'm guessing that's likely where the fear of disappointment is coming from her childhood. But if it's not from there, bet you anything that she's been betrayed by a partner before. Because I see this program manifesting like that really, really often, where a person gets cheated on, and then there's this distrust towards people. There's this fear of being vulnerable and letting your guard down again. So Cynthia's chart is really inspirational. Even though there are very many programs, the underlying theme there is one of overcoming so much trauma and overcoming things when the odds are stacked against you. And this is something I see very often in celeb charts. I see this program called Fear of Career Realization, where there's this person that's afraid of stepping up to the plate, stepping into a position of power, into a higher position, into asking for a promotion that they know they deserve, they know they're qualified for, they know they would do a better job than the manager or CEO of the company. Like, they know that they would be able to knock it out of the park with this position, but they're afraid to kind of step out of line and like step on toes and be like, hey, I think I'd be better at this than so and so. So they kind of sit back and they let somebody else mess it up. And what this program is calling the people to do is to not be afraid to be like, hey, I am better at this. I can do this right. And kind of prioritizing themselves and giving themselves enough credit to be like, you can give me this job. You can give me this position. I will totally knock it out of the park. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to do it right. So it's interesting to me that a lot of celebrities have that, because I feel like there's this moment where they have to realize that they are qualified. They are like, they're supposed to let go of this imposter syndrome and step into this role of, okay, I am able and I am qualified to step into this position because I can do this better. And it's not coming from a place of being full of yourself or being overly confident in something that you can't do. It's coming from a place of letting go of the imposter syndrome and realizing that the knowledge you have, that the knowledge you bring to the table is worth something, or that the skills you bring to the table is worth something. I feel like in order for that to happen, there has to be this self-trust that happens internally first, so that you can step up and be like, I am competent at this. I can do this well, and put yourself out there. Anyway, got off on a tangent a little bit. Essentially, it's extremely important not to undervalue yourself. Understand the value that you bring, the skill set that you bring to the table, and not let other people take advantage of that or walk all over that because you don't want to step on toes, because you don't want to be rude. You're trying to be polite. The celebs that I've come across that have that program, where there's this fear of realizing your career, your place in this world, they're like the biggest household names. So I feel like everybody initially comes in with this imposter syndrome, like, I can't possibly be this household name, until they get past that and be like, if they can do it, so can I. So the next chart I wanted to look into is Idina Menzel's. Idina was born May 30th, 1971, and her past life is one of causing her family a lot of pain. So there was either cheating that happened in her past life or addiction, but in some way she caused a lot of pain for her loved ones. And so her strategy towards life is kind of one of breaking agreements. So she's going to have to learn how to stick to her promises, stick to the things that she says she's going to do. She has this almost impulsive kind of attitude in regards to her word. If she feels like she doesn't have to honor it anymore, she just won't. And I'm curious to see if that's ever given her a problem with any contracts business-wise, because I could see that being a problem. So Idina's chart is a little hot and cold like Ariana Grande's. She doesn't have the extreme programs that Ariana has, but some are pretty heavy, some are pretty tough. She has a self-destruction program, which is this tendency to put yourself in situations that are like you make them more difficult than they're supposed to be. You have this tendency towards self-destruction, may let go of a good thing because you're afraid to commit. Like, it's a person that gets in their own way a lot. And I feel like in order to become as successful as Idina became, I feel like there's some level of healing work that needs to be done here. Because if she was still exhibiting those same self-destructive tendencies, she wouldn't be picking up the kind of opportunities that she's been given. She also has the Excitement Risks Adrenaline program, which means that she may like to take risks that might not be worth the reward. And she might be a bit of an adrenaline junkie. But I feel like the majority of those kind of scenarios play out in your youth. When you're a teenager, you're kind of gambling with life sometimes. So I'm wondering if that's where that program came in or manifested at its height. She has the Fear of Career Realization program, which we just talked about how it's important to not have that imposter syndrome and not be afraid to step on toes if you feel that you're up to the task of this position. She also has the Fear of Disappointment program, which we talked about in Cynthia's chart. So I feel like she has been disappointed or betrayed in some way, either by a partner or early on in childhood, where she has this distrust towards people. Lastly, one of the programs I feel most called to mention is the Public Disgrace program for Idina Menzel. I don't think she ever had this falling out of grace in the public eye happen for her. But interestingly enough, in her wiki bio, she mentioned that her divorce from Taye Diggs, by the way, I love Taye Diggs. I almost wanted to go into his chart a little bit to see if there was indication that there was a betrayal happening there. And maybe that is why it's popping up in Idina Menzel's chart. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to ruin Taye Diggs for myself. But yeah, so there's this public disgrace. And she cited that in her divorce from Taye Diggs, one of the contributing factors towards it was an interracial issues, like it being an interracial marriage. She said that she struggled with that. I'm not sure what she meant by that. I'm not sure if she got a lot of hate for it, but maybe that's where the public eye kind of turned against her. Next, we're looking into Kristin Chenoweth. So if you guys haven't already watched the Wicked movie, both Idina and Kristin star in the new Wicked movie. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but they're in there. So that's why I'm adding them to this list. Also, I mean, they were Elphaba and Glinda from the original Wicked, right? So Kristin Chenoweth's chart, I absolutely love. I love her bubbliness, and her chart explains why she's so bubbly. Her past life is one of a child that either died very, very young or died in the womb. So she has this very childlike bubbliness to her, childlike behavior. She doesn't want to grow up. She's very, very in tune with her inner child and knows how to play, knows how to be excited about life. So she has this energy towards her, like to her, that I feel like everybody can pick up on because she's just this bubbly little person. So she has a very pure and innocent soul. And this past life often manifests presently, like in this life, as a person that wants to do everything, is in a hurry to get married, in a hurry to experience everything there is to experience, because there's this underlying fear that they're not going to be able to experience what they want to because the lifetime's going to be cut off. So it's like Peter Pan syndrome. There's an unwillingness to grow up. Some of the programs for her, I wanted to mention this program specifically in a different episode, but I'm going to mention it now because this is one of the programs that I haven't quite figured out yet. I feel like it's a little bit controversial. This program is called a secret love program, and it essentially means that there's this respect and kind of attraction to the same sex. And I have looked into people that were actually homosexual or lesbian or bi. And the majority of the times, this program is not popping up in their chart. So I'm seeing a lot of straight people, or supposedly straight people, that have this program. And I've been wondering why it's popping up that way. Why is it manifesting that way? And it's actually one of the things that I wanted to mention when I didn't get a chance last episode to talk about Andrew Tate, who I definitely think is narcissistic. He actually has the Secret Love program. So that's a little dish on him. So that was a little crazy to see, because I've been trying to make sense of why the people that actually do have an attraction to the opposite sex openly, same sex openly, don't have it in their chart. And then I started looking into Kristin Chenoweth's wiki bio. And she has spoken up a lot about gay rights, about LGBTQ community. Like, she has advocated for them on multiple occasions. She has made her position known and kind of stood up for them. So I'm wondering if this is stemming from a place where she can easily see herself in that position. Maybe she can easily see herself being attracted to the same sex. Maybe that is why she is so empathetic towards that and empathetic towards their plight. It's leaving a lot of questions. I still need to explore that. I'm going to be likely doing an episode just on that program once I find out more information, once I find more soul contracts that have that program in their charts. But I've seen a lot of very masculine men who, like, you would think are straight, have that in their soul contracts. And I don't know why they have that there. I don't know if it's because they're closeted or they just have this respect and this understanding of the same sex, this love for the same sex that could otherwise be construed as romantic attraction. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but it made sense in Kristin Chenoweth's chart because of how adamant she's been about accepting gay rights, about speaking up about it in her community, because she's called herself Christian and she has said that she supports gay rights. And she got a lot of negative feedback from that, a lot of backlash from that. She's been uninvited from some stuff because of her stance on this. So I feel like it's a very bold stance to take, just in general, just right off the bat. I feel like that just warrants her as being a good human being. So Kristin Chenoweth has a lot of other programs that they just seem bubbly when you read them. There are some like negative parts to it, like any subconscious program. But when you take a look at her personality as a whole, her persona, and the kind of stuff that she stands up for, it kind of paints her in this very loving, bubbly light. So she has that same program, the Fear of Career Realization program, where you have to get out of your comfort zone and be like, you know what? I don't care about being polite. I can do this job better and not have the imposter syndrome anymore. She has the beauty program, which means she either has beautiful physical appearance or a beautiful spiritual appearance. And I think in this case, it's both, which is, again, on point with her playing Glinda, the popular girl at school. Absolutely on point. She has the temple program, which means that it's very important for her to have her space. It's very important for her to have this bubble that protects her, that she can be in and kind of retreat from the world sometimes. Like, it would be very beneficial for her to have some kind of altar or some kind of meditation room where she can just retreat to and detox from the world, kind of unplug. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if she has that in her house. But some of the negative programs, the negative manifestations of the programs in her chart, may show up as her being very jaded. If she's manifesting it from the negative, she might get in this kind of state where she's just like, oh, everything is just really bad. Everything is doomed. It's hopeless. And there's like limiting beliefs surrounding money, surrounding a lot of things. Like, you have to know somebody to get ahead. So very interesting soul contract. very different energy than Adina's and Cynthia's and Ariana's. Ariana's feels very wishy-washy, kind of hot and cold, like it could be two different extremes. Cynthia's feels very, very heavy, but like she is fighting. She is keeping the faith. She's doing the good fight, you know? And then Adina's feels not as extreme as Ariana's, but some stagnancy, some energy there that has to be cleared. And then Kristen is just, she has this very pure, innocent soul energy. Now, Jeff Goldblum's chart is next. And Jeff Goldblum, I was afraid to look into him. I was afraid to look into him because I absolutely love him. I love how charismatic he is. I love his sense of humor. I love the unique person that he is, the energy that he puts out there. I absolutely adore it. But I had this feeling that I might dig up something I didn't want to know. But I had a feeling that I would find some shadow sides to him. And I did. I hope and pray that he's not operating from the negatives. Let me know what you guys think, because the vibe I got after reading his soul contract was that he is very two-faced, unfortunately. I got the vibe that he presents very, very beautifully, very charismatically in public, and then in private, it feels like he's completely different. When I read his past life, this was giving me Nero vibes, the Roman emperor that was responsible for a lot of destruction, because his past life says that he was responsible for a lot of death and destruction. Many people died because of his actions, and he has a very, very difficult past life karma. It's interesting for me to see how he's manifesting in this life, because I feel like we're still seeing this charisma, this kind of like, you could easily imagine that he was a king or some kind of person of influence, some kind of emperor that had a lot of authority and was very likable. But there's a dark side to him. He has this strategy of going about life, a rescue strategy, that sounds good, but it's not really good, because it essentially means that he'll try and save you, but not over himself. Like if he sees something happening, he's gonna look out for himself first. So yeah, again, it gives Nero vibes. I kind of almost want to see, I wish like his ex-wives did a tell-all book or something to see how that manifests for him. But here are some of his programs. He has the Hiding the Truth program, which is a red flag, because this is a program I see often in politicians and in people that are not very forthcoming about who they are and what they do. Essentially, it means that you put out one face to the public and you're somebody else in private. It's not to the extreme that Ted Bundy had, where it's not the same program where it says that you'd be like a great FBI agent because you separate your professional life and your personal life so well. It's just that they kind of make the state of affairs not seem as bad as they are, so they underplay things a lot. He also has a public disgrace program, which means at one point or another he might fall out of grace with the public eye. He also has the parallel love program, so that means that he had to juggle between two decisions, either between a career and a love interest or two love interests. And it's a program that may indicate either a secret family or an emotional affair that leads to a physical affair, but essentially he's juggling between two different interests, and it could get him in trouble. Other than that, his soul contract is not that heavy. Program-wise, it's not that heavy. Past life is very heavy. It's a very, very difficult karma. It's a very difficult karmic debt. So I'm a little curious to see if he has been able to pay that karmic debt off. One other program I feel I have to mention about Jeff Goldblum is he has that special mission program. That special mission program is the program that we talked about with Ariana Grande, where this person has a very distinctive look, distinctive manner to him, mannerisms, a person that's very easily remembered because he stands out so much. He's so unique. The downside of that is it can go to their head, and it can lead to people getting very big-headed. They think they're better than everyone. And from what I've heard about Jeff Goldblum, I don't think that's how he presents himself, but we don't know. We never know. Lastly, I'm going to touch on Jonathan Bailey's chart, who played Fiyero. I wonder if I pronounced that right. I hope I pronounced that right. Okay, so Jonathan Bailey was born April 25th, 1988. His past life is the same as Kristen Chenoweth's. So he either died at a very early age, a very young age, or died in the womb. So he has this very innocent soul, this very childlike energy, and the same Peter Pan syndrome where he doesn't want to grow up. He's very in tune with his child. He's very in tune with play and making life fun, making life playful. He has the fear of career realization in his chart. So he has that same program where he has to get past the imposter syndrome, not be afraid to step out of line, being like, I can do this. As far as programs go, Jonathan Bailey's, I really like his. I really like his soul contract because I feel like this person just deserves to be famous. Like, he was meant to be famous. There's a bit of tendency towards hopelessness. He has a program called Hopelessness, and he has a program called Restless Souls, which is the program that I found in Ronda Rousey's chart. If you guys know anything about Ronda Rousey, she was the reason why Dana White put a women's division in UFC. So she's a bit of a trailblazer, a very great fighter. She was like undefeated for such a long time. She was just knocking it out of the park in terms of how successful she was. Like, she was on a roll. But then she had one loss that she could not recover from. She was never able to get back into that mind space again. And she couldn't recover from that. I think she disappeared for a while. People didn't hear from her for a long time. And I think her mental health suffered from that. And that's where this program kicks in, the Restless Souls. This is a person that is full of energy. There's gigantic potential for self-realization in whatever career they choose. But the negative side of that is an unbearable depression can hit this person. Like, so bad they infect other people with their bad mood and they can't get out of it. And Jonathan Bailey has this in his chart. So I feel like there's this potential to get really, really down on himself, especially with the hopelessness program. In the positive, the hopelessness program manifests as a person that's the soul and life of the party. They know how to build people up. They know how to heal people's inner wounds, make them feel seen, make them feel special. Just a person that's really good at picking up on the things that people lack and kind of winning them over with their charisma and their charm. Now, when it's operating from the negative, the hopelessness program is one of a person that was constantly compared to somebody else as a child. And they were always like, oh, this person's doing so much better than you. Like, this person's so much better at you than this and that. Oftentimes it's a sibling. There's like sibling rivalry. And this causes the bearer of the program to suffer from self-esteem issues and be extremely self-critical. And oftentimes it causes them not to believe in themselves anymore. So there's this pain in Jonathan Bailey's chart where it almost feels like he is trying to prove that he's worthy, trying to prove that he's enough, and win this validation when he's operating in the negative. But the positive has him like this bubbly life of the party person that just has this magnetism to him. And it very much rings true. People absolutely adore him. Now, the last really notable program in his chart is the Midas Touch program. This is somebody that succeeds in everything he sets out to do. I just saw this episode of this one girl from The Ultimatum where this guy was taking her on dates and like she beat him at basketball, she beat him at darts, everything that he took her to, she showed him up. And this is that energy. I would not be surprised if she has the Midas Touch energy. It's a person that's successful at everything. And extremely unnerving and irritating for people that have to work really hard and have to practice really hard to get good at something. And it seems like this person is the type that it just comes naturally to them. It's just naturally easy to them, and they don't even try. So that gives you a sneak peek into Jonathan Bailey's chart and an idea of who he is as a person and what his soul contract looks like. He essentially, everything he touches turns to gold. So I feel like that's on point with everything I've seen on him. I feel like that's a good wrap on the Wicked cast. I feel like that's a good summation of their soul contracts and their journey. So if you were curious about your own soul contract and you wanted to purchase one, you can do so at my website, annarising.org. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at AnnaRisingOfficial and follow the Soul Ecosystem podcast at the Soul Ecosystem on Instagram. If you guys have any requests for soul contracts, feel free to drop them in my inbox. But that is all for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I'm sending you all so much love for all of the support you guys give constantly. I hope you guys have a great weekend and tune in next Friday for the next podcast episode.